Hello? All right, can I have your attention, please? How are y'all doing today? All right, I have a special guest. You guys are going to like Nate. A few things, though, before I introduce him. Please remember to be respectful. Remember to keep cell use very minimal because it does interfere with our tech here. And today, as I said before, our author, the author I'm introducing today, grew up in Chicago, the Pullman neighborhood. From there, he went to Vanderbilt University, earning a master's degree in creative writing at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. He has been a fellow who has appeared in Poetry Magazine, New Republic, Indiana Review, and elsewhere. Currently, he works at an outfit called Young Chicago Authors, and he is teaching a class at Northwestern University. I was able to read most of this collection of poetry from Wild Hundreds, and was very impressed. Powerfully honest and real, and there's really nothing more you can ask from a poet. So, without further ado, I welcome Nate Marshall.
What's up, y'all? Okay. There's a lot of y'all.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So I guess I'm supposed to like read poems and talk at you. But I find that strange and awkward. So I think the way that we'll do this, or at least we'll try to do it, is I'll maybe like read a thing or two, and then we can kind of like have a conversation, like if there's a question about that poem or just about, you know, anything that comes up about myself, about my work, then we can ask that, and we can just sort of have a conversation, then I'll read more and we'll just sort of go back and forth for the time that we have here. Okay, is that okay? All right, cool. Yeah. So my name is Nate Marshall, and I write poems, and yeah, I'll start with this poem. This is called Palindrome. So do folks know what a palindrome is?
Yeah.
Right, so a palindrome, for those that might not know or might not remember, a palindrome is a word that goes, that's the same forwards and backwards, right? So like the word race car, right? It's spelled the same forwards and backwards. So this poem kind of, okay, all right. Maybe I'm the only one that's ever done this, but if y'all have the social medias? You have like the Facebooks and the Twitters and whatnot, right? So I have some of those things, and what I noticed with those formats is when you get on them and you like look, the way that information it comes to you is it's the most recent thing, and then you go back in time. So I was just sort of thinking about that, and about that being sort of one of the ways that we get a lot of information now, when I wrote this poem. So this is called Palindrome. And it's after the poet Liza Mueller. On her profile, I see she has 2 kids. Now one she had in high school, now none at all. She unaborts one. She is unpregnant in 8th grade. She unresembles her favorite pop singer Pink. She uncuts her hair. It pulls into her scalp from clumps on the floor. Her new boyfriend forgets the weight of her. She leaves her new boyfriend. He's forgetting her phone number. She becomes my girlfriend. She picks up the phone and I am on the line, ungiving a goodbye. Her best friend trades letters between us. We each open letters from ourselves with hearts on the outside. She transfers to our magnet school. She moves to a neighborhood close by. We separate at the lips. We have never kissed behind the school. She unchecks the yes box on the note, and I take away my middle school love letter. I unmeet her cop father and her Chicano moms. We walk backward into Baskin Robbins, throwing up gold medal ribbon ice cream into cups. It rounds into scoops, flattens into gallon drums of sugar and cream and coldness. We are 6 years old. Maybe we can go back to then. I unlearn her name, the way it is spelled the same backward, how it flips on a page or in my mouth. I never knew words could do that until 5 minutes from now. Cool. So that poem is in the book, but I want to read maybe one kind of newer thing, and then we can talk. So, yeah. All right. Okay. Cool. Sorry. So when I was coming up in Chicago, we would always say this. We had like a phrase that we would always say that, and it was really because we like couldn't cuss. We like weren't allowed to. So we would always say like, heck you no. Like if it was like, oh, like I don't believe you. Like instead of saying like, no, right? H-E double hockey sticks. We would say heck you no, because our parents would let us say that. So I wrote this poem. This is a kind of poem. It's called a ghazal. So there's like a repetition in it, which you'll see. This poem's called Heck You Know. Before hell was an address we all knew to call, we were only allowed to utter Heck You Know. The extra Y as if a question hanging in air. Can we get some more, Mom? Heck you know. At the courts, we were picked up or picked on. Can I run in the next game? Negro? Heck you know. When Kanye was cartographer of our grammar, first album, he told us, heck you know, that boy is raw. And of course, we all wanted to be so uncooked, so rare. Were we? Heck you know. Just a bunch of gray knees and hard heads, Nate and his boys playing manhood. Convincing? Heck you know. Yeah, I guess thus far, any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns, fears, cheers. I can't really see you, so you could just stand up and say something. No? All right, cool. I'm gonna just keep reading it. All right. So it's Black History Month. Ah, very good. Shout out to my man's running the lights. Thank you, sir. All right, cool. So so it's Black History Month. So I have this little poem that I like to say in Black History Month. And it goes like this. When America writes about Black life, they prefer the past. Tense. That's it. All right. There's this poem that I love by the poet Langston Hughes. And it's called The Motto. And it goes like this. I play it cool, I dig all jive, that's the reason I stay alive. My motto as I live and learn is dig and be dug in return. So yeah. I play it cool, I dig all jive, that's the reason I stay alive. My motto as I live and learn is dig and be dug in return. I play it cool, I dig all jive, That's the reason I stay alive. My motto as I live and learn is dig and be dug in return. Let me interject for a minute. Seems the ways to raise the crowd is infinite. A million ways to make the beat complete. So I'ma try and compete to speak unique. So first to start, gotta kick at the trunk. So people know I'm ambitious with the craft. This is for professors who suspicious of the raps. They should understand there's a rigor to the art. Please watch. How I noun verbs make a new word. Idene's list the spits I kick it to nerd. You heard the flow is bluebird, pretty and fly. Even MFA committees can't lie. When they give me that degree out happily, stop letting y'all download the raps for free. I'ma publish them as poems on the Amazon. Put it on your Kindle, the dough will get back to me. I play it cool, I dig all jive. That's the reason I stay alive. My motto as I live and learn is dig and be dug in return. Yeah, questions? Thoughts? Oh, yeah, up there, up top.
Okay. I don't know how you made that song, but
Perfect.
how did you make that song in Black history?
Oh, like, how did I do that? You know, I don't know. So, that's a good question. I mean, I don't know how I write anything, to be honest with you. But I think for me, like, I love words. So a lot of my poems, a lot of like my songs, all those things, they start from having like just like playing with words and playing with how words look and how like you can manipulate the pacing of them. And then from there I find something really interesting, and I just and I try to like follow those threads. Yeah, I hope that answers your question. Yeah. Yes, all the poets. So many. No, yes. So poets that have influenced me. Gwendolyn Brooks is a big one. Lucille Clifton, the poet A. Van Jordan, the poet Martina Spada. Trying to think. Hart Crane, E. E. Cummings. You know, a lot of rappers like Nas, Jay-Z, Black Thought from the Roots, Gucci Mane, yeah, all sorts of people. I have a lot of influences. Yes.
Do you write predominantly about one topic, like love, or history, or is there anything that you tend to write the most about?
Is there anything that I tend to write the most about? No, I don't think there is. I certainly have like things that I come back to, things that I sort of obsess over. But I try to use like the material of my entire life and experience to write. But I do find sometimes that there are topics that seem silly or that seem like they wouldn't be places where you could like write a lot of poems, where I write a lot of poems, right? So for example, in my book, there's a series of poems about fried chicken, about this restaurant called Harold's Chicken Shack. If y'all ever been to Harold's, if you haven't, go to the city, go to a Harold's, get some wings with mild sauce on them. You're welcome, they're very delicious. And like, that seems like silly to most people, like when I tell people that they laugh. But for me, like, it like was a place where I was able to write a bunch of poems. And I wrote more, like I think there's 4 Harold's poems in the book. And there's like a lot more Harold's poems that I didn't actually, that like didn't make the book, so, yeah. Yeah, up top. Is there any rhyme scheme or form of poetry that I like the most? I like that question. There are a lot that I love. I would say that probably the majority of my poems don't have a formal received form. But in terms of forms that I love and I write a lot, and I love the sonnet. I love the sonnet as like a thought experiment. There's a kind of poem called the Sestina that I love sestinas. I love ghazals, which is like a Persian form. Like the first poem I wrote, or the Hekinal poem, that's a ghazal. Also love rap verses. I think, in my opinion, I think the rap verse is the modern American sonnet, which I could talk more about, but yeah. So those are like some that I really like, but I kind of go all over. Yeah.
Do you read a different version of poetry than what you like to write, or are they usually one?
I read widely and without prejudice. At least I try to. Certainly I read people and I read things that I feel like reflect some of my own work because we're in conversation with each other, so it's important that I take part. But I also like to read a ton of different weird stuff or just things that are really kind of out there. So like one of the last books I read was about, it's called Cook County, and it's like a nonfiction book about like the criminal justice system in Cook County, right? In the way that that it is like deeply corrupt and deeply just effed up, right? So, and then like my favorite book of poems is this book called Notes on the Divided Country, which is by a Korean American woman named Suji Kwak Kim. That book is nothing like anything I've ever written, but it's so dope. Like it taught me so much about how to approach the work of writing. Yeah. One here, and then I'm gonna read some more, but we can keep talking. Go ahead. Oh, for sure. Look, you didn't even have to ask. It was on the menu. All right. Cool. All right. Okay, I'll read this one. So, yeah. So my name is Nate Marshall, but my full name is Nathaniel Armstead Marshall. And I go by Nate. And that comes up in this poem. This poem is called Harold's Chicken Shack number 86. So the thing about it, you should know, I have not written 86 poems about Harold's. I'm not that obsessed. But I have written quite a few of them. But the reason why they're numbered is that if you go to a Harold's, all the Harold's Chicken Shacks are actually, they have a number, they're all numbered, the restaurants. And those numbers, to my eye, don't seem to correspond to anything in actual life. So it's not like the first Harold's Chicken Shack is number 1, and the second one is number 2, because that would make too much sense. The numbers seem sort of random, so the numbers of mine are like all over the place. And they seem random, but a lot of times, they're like little inside jokes to myself. Because when you write a book, you can like talk to yourself, and no one thinks you're crazy. At least not that crazy. So this is called Harold's Chicken Shack number 86. It starts with a quote. The quote is, "We're trying to eliminate the shack." That is a quote from the CEO of Harold's, a woman named Kristen Pierce, whose father founded Harold's. Her father was Harold. When I went to summer camp, the white kids had a tendency to shorten names of important institutions, make Northwestern University into NU, international relations into IR. Everybody started calling me Nate. Before this, I imagined myself Nathaniel A., maybe even N. Armstead to big up my granddad. I wrote my whole name on everything. Eventually, I started unintentionally introducing myself as Nate. It never occurred to me that they could escape the knowing of my name's real length. As a shorty, most of the kids in my neighborhood couldn't say my name. McDaniel, Nick Daniel, McDonald shot across the court like wild heaves toward the basket. The subconscious visual of a chicken shack seems a poor fit for national expansion. Harold's Chicken is easier. sounds like Columbus's flag stuck into a cup of coleslaw. Shack sounds too much like home of poor people, like haven for weary, like building our own. Actually, let me take a moment now. Right before I got to talk to you guys, I had the opportunity to talk to a smaller group of young men here at Fremd, and that was a really dope experience. We talked a lot about music we liked, and the Super Bowl, and how the Falcons are really some choke artists. But one of them shared a poem during that time, and he asked me before this if he could come and share it with you all. So please give it up for one of your classmates. Give it up for my man, Dominic.
What up? Okay. Okay. I'm gonna say stand up for right. Black man in the hood, pale faces see no good. Generations of slavery, but pale faces still scared me. What you scared of? Scared of a teen in the suburbs? I never gave anyone harm. Worst pain I felt was a rug burn. Tell me why you hate, why whites and blacks separate, why you keep your distance but still try to control my fate. Yes, I'm black, don't mean I'm going to attack. If you speak to me, I speak right back. What does color have to do with that? I don't care if you're blue, white, yellow, or black, or fat. I'ma show love back because we weren't born to discriminate. We were made like that. The world makes it a big deal. There's bigger problems. There's kids that need meals, people being killed, holes to fill, young teens popping pills. This shit brings me the chills, but you still worry about my color. Father been in and out, and I never met my mother. I have bad speaking problems. I always had a stutter. But you don't seem to care because I'm black. I might as well up and have a heart attack. Because there's a lot more to me than a man in a hoodie. If you come speak to me, then you'll finally see good in me.
There it is. All right. How do I follow that? That's sort of messed up. This kind of came in and stole my thunder. So how is the kid to respond? This is crazy. All right. Rap that. All right. Here, I'll kick around. From that wild, wild, Joe. You should probably know that. And if you didn't get it, my literature probably show that, spit that killer, feel that kickback. You should probably get back. Never was that kind of cat to flip crack. Really, I would read plays, shake up Shakespeare, homie, flip acts. In them wild hundreds, you might get jacked, trying to make some dojo. Homie, you won't get jacked. I be in a dojo, working out to get jacked. Call me. Gwendolyn Brooks Brothers, I dress right, yes right. Every day I just right, yes tight. I don't ever step light. I be on them dark hues. This here, that unwashed, raw, muddy water, sort of dark blue. My style, fancy as a bow tie, no lie. Homie, just that tough to the root stuff, no lie. My rhymes is colorful, make you wanna go die. The city rock jewelry, most commas a toe tie. My rhyme, standardized, test hard. Most of the kids will fail it. Drop it. Guarantee the government can't stop it. They gon' probably try make a bill into a law just to stop that raw kid here from dropping jaws. See, but I just schoolhouse rocker. Crossover with truth. Dribble when I spit and then I take them to the hoop. This song, yo mama gon' play all day on loop like a mantra. But you know they try to catch my fly like tarantula. But I got a leg up, homie, so they can't run. And I hold that fire water, call me a cancer. I kill all your banter. Hush. I be making waves when I run through heads like a brush. What? Questions, comments, concerns? Yes. Do I often often feel excluded because of the color of my skin, and if so, how do I handle it? That's an interesting question. I think I have in the past. I think that, you know, I'm very lucky in that now I don't, because I'm able to you know, like my friend group and the place where I work and like many of the places I'm able to navigate are fairly diverse, but there are still those moments, certainly. And I guess, how do I handle it? I think it is, I understand like, first off, fundamentally like who I am, and then also like what I have to do and what I have to contribute to any given space. And because I'm confident in those things, I'm able to sort of like navigate past like the microaggressions or like the things that are sort of meant to make me feel as an outsider, right? Yeah. Yeah.
How was your relationship to your writing grown since you first started doing it? What have you got to say back?
Sure. How's my relationship to my writing grown since I first started doing it? I mean, in some really interesting ways, right? So like, so when I first started writing, I pretty quickly got engaged in like slam poetry, and that, right, that sort of competitive, performative aspect of the work. And I think that was a really good proving ground for me. It was a really good place to like build, because it put me in front of people and made me like not be precious about my work, and it put me in a community of writers, right? A community of people that were also trying to create. But I think since then, like, I've become a much deeper reader. Like I actually read a lot less now than I used to. But I read things, because I read things much slower. But I think I'm a much better reader. And I think now I'm trying to think about like, it used to be that I wanted to like tell the flyest story, like just tell the coolest story I could think of, and I think now I'm more concerned with like, how can I tell a story in the most interesting way, or how can I tell like the same, maybe an old story, but present it in a fashion that we haven't perhaps seen it before, right? Other questions? Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have any advice for any aspiring writers, poets, or musicians?
Yes. So we talked about this in the smaller group. My biggest advice for anyone that like wants to be a creator of things, whatever those things are across genre, I think you have to be a student. First off, of your genre, and second off, of the world, right? So if you are a filmmaker and you want to make films, I think like it's incumbent upon you to understand some of the history of that genre and some of like the sort of standard bearers, like the torch bearers in that genre, and then find your favorites, and then find the stuff you hate, and then figure out what you can steal from all of it, right? But I think you also have to be someone that is astutely and keenly aware of what's going on in your world, right? So when I was you guys' age, and I decided I wanted to rap and I wanted to write poems, one of the things I started doing is I started reading like 3 newspapers a day. And the reason I did that is because I was like, yo, all my favorite rappers are always like alluding to all this stuff, right? They're talking about like things that are happening in the news, or other rappers, or movies that they like, or you know, whatever. Like, and I was like, if I want to be good like them, then I have to know a lot of stuff so that I can have that same sort of elusive power, that same sort of like intellectual energy. So that would be my advice, is just to like read and investigate your genre as much as you can, and the world as much as you can, because that's going to be what allows you to bring fresh eyes to old situations. Let me read. So, you guys ever done like the field trip where you like go to the Art Institute? Right, you've done that, right? So, you know, I did that field trip when I was a kid. And recently I had a reading at the Art Institute And so I wrote this poem sort of for that reading, after going to the institute, sort of thinking about the way that the museum is structured, right? So like, if you ever go to the Art Institute, the second floor, you have like the Baroque art, and the neoclassical art, and the Rococo art, and the Renaissance art. You have all these different movements in European art, and then you go like to the first floor, and you have like African art, and you have Native American art, and you have Asian art, right? Like very broad, just like, not like, you know, split up in any meaningful way. And I was thinking about the nature of how that gets constructed, and I was also thinking about like how, if you ever look, right, if you look at like the European art, it's all like these big frescoes and like humongous paintings that were like painted to like hang in someone's rich and beautiful house. And if you go to like the like African section, it's like bowls, it's like pottery, right? Which is cool, but I'm thinking about that in terms of like the things that were art pieces were like the things they used in their like day-to-day life, right? So it's just like if your iPhone was like chilling behind some plexiglass, and they're like, this is an early example of, you know, unique American engineering made in China, right? Whatever. Then that would, you know, like that, it's the equivalent of that. So I wrote this poem from thinking about these things. This poem is called Which Art, What Fact? Every day, I act permanent. A silly collection of carbon and oxygen and sometimes heart. And too often cruelty or callous or I just wasn't thinking. My bad. Each week, I move around as if nobody will steal me. Again. Or my things. Again. And I ponder if which museum we end up in is a matter of power. Who hangs and who does the cutting? After all, what is science but a set of contemporary creation stories? What histories are natural and what artifacts art? How do we decide the borders of a country, or an era, or a solar system? When did we decide our planet meant only this collection of green? What I mean is this. Take this bowl. The people used it to mix and eat. What of the clothes the people wore to say, let us be one on this day of marriage? What of their stuff? What of the staff the people made to love their gods? What of their gods, who are maybe our own with the names that lost, the prayers that got colonized away? In this section of the museum for the darker people, I make sense. In the Museum of Chicago, I have also always been in the section for the darker people. And I presume, once this president or the next wipes us up, perhaps our everyday particulars will be art. The Afro pick I push in the naps of my beard might one day have a name in a plastic box for preservation. Maybe the cheap dress shoes I spun in for my first high school homecoming will be a prime example of primitive garb for worship. Maybe my mother's coffee cup with Narcotics Anonymous plastered on its chipped face will be one of these art things in its next life. Oh, whatever God or whatever ancestor that wins in the next life, I pray, won't you let me be an artifact of use? Let all my poems be bowls or thrones or hair pieces or marriages. Let everything I make, if it should survive, tell the next world that mine were a people of faculty and faith. Let them know we were a race who prayed with our legs and sweat. Let them know that even when we are just art, we were here, and we still are. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna read this. So, in high school, I was not good at math, and I didn't pay attention to it. Sorry, math teachers, if anyone did. But I do have a favorite number. My favorite number is the number 511. If you don't know how much 511 is, it's somewhere between like a whole lotta and yup, show up. So this poem is called 511. How much is owed to those who wore the chains, who tilled the land, who nursed the babes, who mixed the grits, who fried the food, who chopped the wood, who picked the bowls, who ran the road, who fought the war, who shared the crop, who made the name, who wore the noose, who blacked the codes, who sparked the schools, who juked the blues, who showed the soul, who left the south, who stayed the course, who caught the hell, who marched the march, who broke the strike, who struck the blow, who took the vote, who held the hood, who housed the club, who queered the notes, who spun the jams, who funked the flow, who built the thing, who built the thing, who built the thing, you know. Take the payment you ain't give for all that and press it down. Make it overflow 511 times and give me that in my own numbers, in my own currency. Maybe I'll do like 2 more things. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Cool. While 100